ほう、向かってくるのか。逃げずにこのビデオにクリックされたのか。せっかく最近アップロードしてないのでこのビデオを見てるのは光栄です。だが、もう始まったので見てるしかできないのは無駄だ。ブワハハハハ。こんにちは皆さん。よくシグマ男性と言われているKai-kunです。さっきも冗談だよ。これはもう4年から日本語を学んできたので、何かが変わったのか、新しい知識を得たのか、俺は日本語上手なのかを話していきたいと思う。でも日本語を話すのはまだ大変なので、ここにやめておこう。Greetings, gamers. It has been over a year since I've done my last Japanese progress update. It's really 4 years and 1 month because this should have been made a month ago. Right around the same time I posted my 3-year video, which if you haven't seen that, I would check it out because, I mean, I'm going to go over the same stuff in this video, but that one kind of explains it a lot better. Yeah, a lot of things have changed since I made my 3-year video, and I want to definitely go over that because I feel like my whole philosophy has like been mixed up for like the 4th year on studying Japanese. So I started studying Japanese back in July 1st of 2019. I got inspired from like this Reddit post I found where somebody like laid out like how to learn Japanese in a year, and it just talked about like, oh, you get this book called RTK, Remembering the Kanji, and then you like go to this website and you learn the hiragana and katakana, and you do everything in like the Genki textbooks. So I like during that summer I memorized hiragana and katakana in like 2 days, like 4 hours total, and then I started on the kanji book and I got a big stack of flashcards and I just started writing out all the kanji, practicing it, and I think I memorized like all like 2250 like standard kanji, you know, in 3 months. Yeah, like when July turned to August I went back into school and I signed up for like Japanese, and then I studied Japanese to like Genki 1 and 2 during like my intro to Japanese classes, and then COVID hit, so that's when we were all locked in, and that's also the time when I found out about Anki, which is like a flashcard system for spatial repetition. During that summer I was doing like 8 hours a day. I went through like Genki 1 and 2, like I knew it like on the back of my hand, and then I got this other one called, oh shoot, I forget the name, I'm gonna post the title. It's like this online textbook that a lot of people use because it's free, and I went through all the stuff on that, and I actually found that one more helpful than Genki. But you know, came time when I went back to school, like I was ahead of my peers in my 2000 level Japanese class, and I think by that point I was just specifically onto like making flashcards in Anki, just doing RTK flashcards, doing sentence flashcards from like anime, and you know, I was like very much on like the AJAT style study method. And you know, I followed that for like 3 years. Yeah, I think at the 3-year mark was the time I stopped studying AJAT because like I just kind of got tired of it, you know, because like, you know, doing flashcards for 3 hours a day is so much. It's like a lot. And then you go on and do your other stuff like classes, social life, and like, you know, hanging out with your friends. It was just way too much. And like I think like the nail in the coffin was doing the how many kanji can I memorize in like 48 hours. Doing 75 just like really like messed it up because I like 200 flashcards a day, and I was like I just kept like going through it. I went through the motions and I didn't feel like I was like learning the information anymore. So I think after that point, like I kind of like stopped with Anki, and it felt like such a relief off my shoulders because it's like now I don't have to. It's because like now I don't have to like worry about my mornings. I can just go on and like, you know, read in Japanese or like watch, you know, like shows in Japanese. Yeah, and I feel like after I stopped with Anki and I just focused more on like listening and reading and then practicing speaking, that really like improved my Japanese a lot because instead of focusing on like, do I remember this word or not, I was getting more practice with like the actual language of listening to people, reading words and sentences, and that's like really what like glues everything together for that. So it kind of like brings me on to like, what did I do for my 4th year of studying Japanese, and that is I cut out Anki, and well, for my sanity's sake I cut out Anki, and then I just focused on, watching more things in Japanese and reading more things in Japanese. And then, of course, like speaking for like 30 minutes a day, because I picked up a lot of bad habits in Japanese class, like doing like the sentences you learn in Genki. And I feel like this way kind of like helps me like break out of that. I still do it sometimes, which sucks, but so I would say for like my perceived level of like how fluent I am in Japanese, I think I'm like pretty good in terms of like reading things. Listening is like obviously like a pillar less, because like when I talk to like actual Japanese people, like I lose a lot of things in conversation still, and I think that's mainly because I don't have enough listening practice like daily to keep my skills up. I think for my pronunciation too, practicing speaking every day is like helped me tremendously, and I made a video on that too, in case you're interested in like my method, and I just do a deep dive into that. And all in all, like in a day, I try to hit at a bare minimum. I read for an hour, I listen to things in Japanese for an hour, and then I practice speaking for 30 minutes. So I've cut my practice down to just 2.5 hours, which I guess is still a lot, but compared to doing like the 5 hours I was doing before, it's like way less, but I think it's worth it in the end. Because I feel like at this point in the game, it's not about like how many hours can you fit in a day, it's about like what can you do long term, and 5 hours isn't sustainable long term. Like maybe for a year, maybe for 2 years, 3 years, but like 4 years, nah. 5 years, hell nah. What is going to change for year 5 studying Japanese? I have some new goals I've set for myself, and I think one of them is like forgetting all of my like English understanding of Japanese. I know the English meanings for a lot of kanji, but it doesn't really make me know the kanji. I know the kanji in like one small context, because like the English meaning is like basically what the kanji means in like one dimension. But if you learn kanji the Japanese way, how they teach the kanji in school, and like how kanji are grouped together by like general understandings of things, you just understand the kanji more on an intuitive level. So when you see the kanji and like words grouped together, like you can understand the word, because sometimes it's not just like the two kanji's meanings, it's like the kanji's parts put together to make the meaning for the word. And I think that's really cool, and that's something I figured out just by like actually buying Japanese kanji books. One of my good friends, he went to Japan, and I asked him like, hey, can you pick me up a book that has like the kanji but by their meanings, like how they're built up by their primitives, like for Japanese people to understand. And he found this book, which is a children's book for learning the kanji grades 1 through 6. And surprisingly, I thought it would be like this below my level, but it's actually like really good, which just goes to show like how important it is like learning things in context, and you're learning kanji in the same way a Japanese person learns kanji. And I was going through it, and it made me realize like the downfall of like RTK. RTK is just like, it does the job for like somebody that just is beginning to learn Japanese, but like at the high level it really breaks down, because it's like an inefficient like layer of like English you're translating in your head into Japanese, back into Japanese, for you to like understand what you're looking at, which is just like long term for like language acquisition, that is like really bad. You want to forget the English as much as possible. So this book made me figure that out, which inspired me to go on Amazon and order another book from Japan, which is like the same, like how the kanji are constructed, except this one's organized not by like how it's taught in school, but by ideas. So for this one, this is like for hand, and it has like all the kanji related to the idea of hand. And some kanji have different constructions, but they all mean hand, which if you go through RTK, it's not the same, because this one I think this one's like measurement, and this one's like crotch, or this one is like some kind of weird like bending thing. But like for Japanese people, this is all just hand, and it's hand like written differently, which it just goes to show like the contextual meaning you lose by learning kanji in English, which brings me to my goals. So for Japanese, going on to my 5th year, I want to like forget all the English for my kanji and go back and study it like how Japanese people do. And I'm not going to use Anki anymore because Anki's just too much. Like, it's good for small things, but no more Anki. I'm just going to do it pretty fun, like maybe do some challenges of like maybe I write all the kanji in this book or whatever. You know, something that kind of like brings together like all of my hobbies into a useful way, you know? I think I want to try mixing up how I read things too. I'm going to start playing Japanese video games, which I haven't done surprisingly yet. And I feel like that's because I'll learn more words in context, which would be good because that way the main reading I've been doing is from light novels, and you know, sometimes like ideas just fly over my head because it's in a book and I have to imagine it, which is good for learning languages, but it also like it doesn't give you a lot of helpful context for things that you can just get from a video game. Like maybe you see the kanji for like an art museum like Bijutsukan, and you see it in a book and you don't really get it, but maybe you see the kanji on like a building in a video game and you see all the art pieces inside of it. It's like, oh, that's a Bijutsukan, and then it finally makes sense. It clicks for you. I guess overall, like, I want to try new and different things for how I study the language, because I feel like trying new things will help me like grow and interface with the language differently, so like it can build out a lot of my contextual thoughts and ideas for it. Speaking off the cuff for me is still challenging, and that's something I'm trying to work on, so I'm going to also practice speaking more overall, like maybe not on top of just like, you know, practicing speaking for 30 minutes to use it with Animal, and like actually just going in and speaking naturally with people and like making mistakes and fixing that on the spot. So yeah, so overall, I think for year 5, my goal is to listen to more things in Japanese, speak to more people in Japanese, like naturally, and like do more contextual things in Japanese. So like video games, going to Japanese websites, just, you know, mixing up like how I interface with the language. And then I tried taking the JLPT N1 back in December, and unfortunately I didn't pass, which kind of annoyed me, but it also like kind of humbled me because it made me think like I'm not as good as I like mentally thought I was, which is a good thing. You know, humbling is always great. So I'm gonna try to retake the JLPT probably at the end of year 5 and just really see if I like picked up anything or not. And then hopefully maybe within the next couple of years, I'll go to Japan and like actually use the language in the country that it comes from, which would be pretty sweet, to be honest. So anyway, I think that wraps up everything I had to say for my 4-year update. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments and I can definitely respond to them. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.